For the past 2 years, I have been focusing my career on this one thing, consulting, and more specifically, software consulting. I've built countless apps for several different global companies in different industries. I've read dozens of consulting books, been mentored by dozens of people with decades of experience, and I want to give you everything that I know for free. Today, I'm going to share with you what you need to grow or start your tech career, to level up your skills and make more money. But I need to be real with you. This industry can be tough, competitive, and in all honesty, just takes an above average work ethic. And I recognize that everybody says this, but I mean it. If I can do it, you can too. But if you can't make it through 5 minutes of this video, then you're probably not gonna make it. Here is a list of everything that I'm gonna go through in this episode to help you change your mindset and give you a chance to be successful and start a career that you enjoy. So here is what this video is all about. How to start a tech career with zero experience like I did. How to become valuable and ultimately make more money. And third, how to find purpose and actually enjoy what you do. At the end of this video, you will know everything that has taken me 7,000 hours to learn. I can tell you, you're gonna learn something and you won't regret it. Allow me to quickly introduce myself. My name is Griffin Lickfelt. I am a Power Platform and low-code software developer and consultant, and that is kind of what I do and who I am. And this is the Citizen Developer channel that hosts this Power Talks series. Maybe that is a mouthful, but that is a little bit about who I am. And I have about 2.5 years of industry experience in a tech career. And I just wanted to come on here and let you know that you can do it too. This episode is like a continuation of Power Talks episode number 44, which came out a couple of weeks ago. And this is where I talk about a little bit more detail about what I do, which is low-code development, and how I'm beyond blessed to say that I'm able to make 6 figures a year with my current job. I'm so serious when I say this too. I kind of cringe talking about it because I genuinely struggle with comparison myself, and I genuinely do not share that so that, I can brag or that you can compare yourself to me and feel bad about yourself. Like, that is not what I want to do, and that is not the hope of this video. I just genuinely want to help others know that what I do for a living exists and that there is a space for them to do the same thing too. I guess I should probably come clean as well and just say that I do not make the amount of money that was on the thumbnail, but I will say I know countless of people who are making that and more, and even more than that in this industry. So it's not clickbait, it's not a lie. Okay, I'm sorry. Enough yapping. Let's get your tech career started. So point number 1, there's 3 points, how to start a tech career. And I wanna, again, I've said this several times, tell you about low-code software development. And more specifically, we'll get into what's called the Microsoft Power Platform. But what this is I'm able to create apps for businesses, or automations for businesses, or chatbots for businesses, or reports for businesses without knowing computer science or a computer programming language. I have zero computer science experience, and I would say to this day, even after being a software consultant for 2.5 years, I do not know any computer code. And so I do not want that to be intimidating, and I want that to kind of be the public service announcement that you can create and get into tech without having a technical skill like that. Because we'll get into this more throughout the video, but there's so much more to being a valuable consultant and a valuable person, or a valuable resource, we might call them, in the tech industry than just being able to code. And this is why I want to tell you that you can start right now. So specifically, I've shared this story several times, and I want to share a couple examples, but you have skills and you have, maybe more importantly, experience in something. let's say, so when I was in college, I worked at a suit shop, my local Men's Warehouse franchise location. And I sold suits. I worked in retail, and that's what I did. I wouldn't say I was really good at it, but I knew how to, run a tape measure around somebody. But nonetheless, I had, say 2 years of retail experience and potentially sales experience, where a lot of these people, I'm talking to them when they're coming in for either a wedding, which is like the best day of their life, or a funeral, which might be the worst day of their life. And I got to sell them, I got to find them a suit that's within their budget. And in that, I practiced a lot of skills that I think really prepared me well. And I say this because you also have skills and experience in a certain industry or in a certain role that are completely transferable into consulting and low code, like software consulting and low code development. So I don't know why my face is so itchy. I keep scratching my face. So let me stop touching my face. So specifically, like I have a great colleague of mine who worked in retail for like over a decade, and he has no college degree, very smart, intelligent person, but no college degree, and worked in retail and, was a store manager for who knows how long. And even though he was able to get into low code software development, and he was not starting from ground zero because he has a decade of retail experience. He can now go and work with retail companies, which there are a lot out there, and consult for them and build apps, build software, build automations, because he truly knows day to day what the good parts of a store manager's job are and the horrible parts, and the good parts of a retail clerk's job and the horrible parts. What makes a good POS system and what makes a bad POS system? What makes a good customer account system and what makes a bad customer account system? Like, he knows all of this information, and he's only able to know that because of his experience. So what does that mean for you? Let's say you work, in who knows what job. Say you're a landscaper. Like, you have a ton of landscape business experience, right? What sort of things landscape customers care about? What sort of things take a lot of your time as, maybe someone who's running a landscaping company? Maybe it's scheduling people. Maybe it's finding new customers. Maybe it's, what different things. Say you're a customer care representative, right? You talk on the phone and you try to fix people's problems with their product. You have a ton of customer care or customer service experience, and now you can go and create software with the Microsoft Power Platform for customer service organizations, which is a huge sector specifically in what I'm talking about. And there's a huge sales sector, there's a huge customer service sector, there's a huge marketing sector, there's a huge finance and operations sector, there's a huge supply chain management sector. And that doesn't even begin to crack the code of the huge different areas that I'm telling you can get started in, and you are not starting from ground zero. So specifically, the Microsoft Power Platform, I am not going to explain everything about what this is. There are so many phenomenal videos out there that could dive deeper into the Microsoft Power Platform. But this is specifically the low-code platform that I am educated in, certified in, have experience in over the last 2.5 years. And so that's kind of my next piece of advice, is find a low code platform. And I would highly, highly, highly recommend the Microsoft Power Platform. And for several reasons, but one of which being, I think it's really easy to get started without a formal education. So Microsoft has a super cool certification kind of roadmap online that you can follow. And I'm telling you, you can get certain certifications with just 10 hours of study, a couple hours a day, and you can have it in a week, right? You can be well educated enough to go and pass these certifications and start adding these to your resume. And so in a matter of a couple weeks or a couple months while you're working and whatever, you can go and get these certifications and even start practicing low code software development at your current job. Just for some numbers, if this is the first time you've ever heard of the Microsoft Power Platform or these certifications, research what's called the PL-900. PL-900, you will be able to, I'm telling you, you'll be able to crush that out as well. Another one is going to be the MB910. These are kind of two different certifications about Microsoft Dynamics, which is kind of the CRM app platform, these apps that I'm customizing for businesses. And then the PL 900, which is kind of the Power Platform fundamentals. So these components that I use to customize apps. If you can go and get these, there's infinite study guides online, but Microsoft also has really great study guides that you can follow, all sorts of practice problems available. You can go and do that. Now, once you get certified, I would say, at this point, you don't have a tech career. You're certified in being able to have a tech career, but I think there's one more piece in how to start your tech career. Like, how do I now get my foot in the door to get a job, right? To start my first tech job. And because a lot of times, unfortunately, I don't think a lot of people are looking to hire somebody with zero experience and just a PL 900 certification, unfortunately. Now, the next thing I'm going to say is build something. And that might seem complex, but the Microsoft Power Platform has completely free trials. You can go and build apps and build automations. And these don't have to be something that complex. This does not need to be even for a business. I've seen like some super cool apps that people have built online for like tic-tac-toe games or Connect 4 games or, checkers, like all these different apps. You can make an app that manages your grocery list or something, where it adds things and you can take things off and whatever. Like, you can just create some kind of app that would be fun for you. And it doesn't have to be a huge project, but just begin exercising these skills of the things that you're learning, because it's going to make it so much more concrete for you. And at that point, you are a low-code software developer. The moment you make one super simple app or super simple automation, I would say at that point, you at least could consider yourself, a low-code app developer. And I'm not saying now at that point you've done that, you can start making, 100K, but nonetheless, like, you could, start to get your foot in the door and start to share these things that you're learning and these things that you've built and add them to your resume and get your foot in the door. I also just want to tell you that there are a lot of times programs at certain companies where they are looking to hire people with super phenomenal soft skills of consulting, and they are going to be willing to hire you and bring you on without Power Platform or Microsoft Dynamics experience and teach it to you, because they recognize that the Power Platform is something that can be taught. Somebody's ability to communicate well or have high emotional intelligence is really hard to teach. And so if I can find these people with these certain skills that are really valuable and just tack on the Power Platform, companies are looking for those sort of people. And so I would recommend reach out to people within your network. Find people on LinkedIn who maybe are working at these companies and connect with them and just share what you're learning and what you're doing, because I think you might be surprised that there are opportunities for people who are starting in the Power Platform today. Truly. Hey, if you are finding this video impactful or insightful, be sure to like and subscribe. But more importantly, if you are wanting to learn more about the Microsoft Power Platform, then you are going to want to check out the completely free self-paced course that has all of the hand-picked content directly from me as the first link down in the description down below. This is going to teach you everything you need to know about the Power Platform to get started and pass your first few Microsoft certifications. I can honestly say that as a Power Platform consultant myself, that I love what I do, and I don't think many people in today's day and age can say that. If you are wanting to learn more, as I mentioned, be sure to check out the first link in the description down below to get in direct contact and connect with me. All right, let's get back to the conversation. I'm not sure how long we just sat there in that first point, but point number 2 is like the really important one, which is how to become valuable. Because if all you can do is build a tic-tac-toe app, then you're you're not gonna get very far, and you're not gonna make a lot of money, and you're not gonna have a tech career. You might have a tech job at some point, but you're not gonna have a tech career. And so how do I become valuable? How do I level up in a sense and become this game-changing talent? And so this is you know, something I really love about the software space is there's this idea. Have you ever heard, I'm a sports guy, like this idea that the ball is in your hands. Like I'm the type of person where if, the game is on the line, 3 seconds left, I'm not a basketball guy, but say I was, 3 seconds left, like I want the ball in my hands. In a sense of I don't want to count on anybody else to help me secure the win. I want to make sure, I do what I can do to win the game, as an example. Something that I really appreciate about the tech industry is much more than other industries, you have the ability, like you have the ball in your hands. You have the ability to go and make yourself super valuable and do something that you love and get compensated well for it. You do not have to punch the clock, put 10 years in, and hope to get a promotion to manager because the other manager retired, and now because you've been here the longest, you have seniority and you get the promotion. Like that is not at all how things operate. And at least as a young professional and somebody who is driven, I love that. I don't want it to feel like all the extra effort I'm putting in as opposed to maybe my colleagues or, other people in the industry. I want it to feel like I'm being, in some way, like receiving value, I guess, for that. Like I'm being rewarded for that. That's the word I was looking for, rewarded. And so I want to say this too. I do not mean this in a horrible way. You as a human being have so much value, so much purpose. I will say though, from an entrepreneurial, from a financial, from a business perspective, if you want to make more money, you need to become more valuable to people. I think a lot of times we have this idea of, I want to raise, I want to start making more money. I want to make 6 figures. I want to increase my income. Like, okay, if you want to do that, you need to become more valuable. And that's something that's directly within your control, because you might not even really be able to control, right, specifically how much money you make, but I can control how sharpened my soft skills are, how much about the Power Platform I know, and the ability that I have to build certain solutions. And so, like, I have these things in my control. And so I guess I want to say that how can I make myself more valuable as opposed to how can I make more money? So that's like the part of the question that I'm getting at here. And also couple in this thought, like the reality is technical skills are becoming less and less important in this world. And this is not an AI conversation, but less and less important because of the implementation of AI into life. And so we already know, currently at today, AI is great at writing code. And like I said, I don't write code, but it is really good at that technical skill because it has an insane amount of code at its fingertips that it can reference. And so you arguably the skill of coding has become less valuable because something else can do it, right? There's more, I guess, supply, if you want to think about supply and demand that way. And so the reality is if you want to make yourself more valuable, it is not learning a technical skill. It might be in certain instances, like learning the Power Platform. But 15 years from now, I might not be creating apps in the Power Platform. We might have AI that does that. But what is really valuable and something that cannot be replaced by AI is my ability to be human. How can I be more human? Like this is going to be, as the future continues, how I can make myself more valuable. And I kind of think about, I don't know if you guys know who Alex Hormozi is. I've mentioned him several times on this channel. He's this business entrepreneur guy, also pretty big gym bro, but sometimes he's a little too hardcore. But he says this one thing, and he has this one idea that there's these things he calls meta skills, and these meta skills are like the particularly valuable skills in that these skills help you acquire non-meta skills or other skills. And so an example of a meta skill could be like the skill of learning. A meta skill could be the skill of reading. A meta skill could be the skill of communication. And those are kind of the three, I guess, that I've written out here. And so, like, talking about being more human, I'm a functional consultant. And what that means is what makes me really valuable is my ability to talk to customers, to businesses, and just relate with them. Like, hear what they're saying about the pain points of their job and think about and problem solve and translate that into a software app or an automation or whatever that may look like. And so that idea of being, critical, not necessarily critical listening. I can't think of the word, but like that idea of being able to listen really well, intentional listening really well, like that's a meta skill because no matter, there's a little flea, no matter what I do, that skill is going to help me acquire other skills. And so that's kind of like, how do I become more valuable? Level up your meta skills. I don't know if that makes any sense, what I'm saying. I'm hoping it makes a little sense, just a little bit. It also kind of ties into sharpening your soft skills, which is what we talk about a ton on this show. I have like truly experts in the Power Platform and Microsoft Dynamics come and just share their expertise, and the conversations always inevitably end up revolving around soft skills when you're talking about career development and wanting to grow your career or make more money or become more valuable or have more job security or protect yourself against AI. All of these things end up coming back to sharpening your soft skills, or I guess we might call them the meta skills. And these are things that are not easy to recommend. I think sharpening soft skills take time. I'm by no means an expert in every soft skill. But I also recognize that I work very hard to level up my soft skills. Something as well, like if you feel like you are a bad communicator, I think being able to communicate is potentially the single biggest soft skill. And I think it's really easy to become a better communicator. I'll get to that in a second. Specifically, why do I think it's so important? I think it's so important because you could be the smartest person in the world and have the single best idea on the planet, in the universe, in all history. You could have the best idea. But if you cannot communicate that idea is going to go nowhere. All it is just an idea. You're not going to be able to impact other people positively with that idea. You're not going to be able to change people's lives with that idea. You're not going to be able to make yourself or people money with that idea if you cannot communicate it, right? All sales is communicating. You're not going to be able to find people to buy your idea because you can't communicate it. Like everything comes around and revolves around communication in this soft skill and being able to actually articulate what it is you're trying to say well. And I think there's this really good saying that I heard from Nathan Rose, a Microsoft MVP that I had on this show, and it did really stick with me, is if communication was an Olympic sport, then reading would be the banned substance. In that, specifically, reading levels up your communication in a way that is so incredible. It's like ridiculously positively impacting. Ridiculously positively impacting. And even like, and he was specifically talking about like it doesn't need to be, you don't need to read books on communication. Just read whatever. Read, your favorite fiction novel series. Like just read. And like just spending that time digesting and comprehending language and building out your vocabulary and sentence structure and like all this stuff that you're not even like consciously thinking about, but your brain, just that skill is getting more and more sharpened. I also think the other part to making us human, the first being these meta skills, these soft skills, the other part to make us human and something that is incredibly valuable. I've talked to several job recruiters on this show, and they have all said the same thing. Is like one of the biggest difference makers is really understanding a particular type of business or business process. So coming back to point one, like you have experience in something, whether it's in the healthcare industry, whether it's in the manufacturing industry, whether it's in the retail industry, whether it's in, I don't know, the construction industry, like whether it's in the automobile industry, whatever industry you have experience in, you know the industry, you know the acronyms of that industry, you know the annoyances, the day-to-day like things that people go through, the things that need to be done in order for a construction company to make money. Like you know the business process that construction companies have to go through. Like understanding industries or business types and the business processes is huge, because ultimately we are trying to find software and apps and automations and AI co-pilots that fit into this process. And if I don't understand the process, the business process, it's going to be really hard to do that, right? I'm going to miss the mark. And so that's kind of the other part. If I want to become more valuable, if I want to make more money, if I want to become more valuable, become an expert in a certain business process. Maybe that is just like lead generation to like quote, like the quoting sale process. Like you understand the sales process really well for manufacturing companies. Like you get it through and through. Maybe that's what you did. You sold something for a certain company for X amount of years and you understand that sales process. Maybe you're that customer care or the customer service, phone teller representative. You understand the customer care, case resolution process of the business or the industry that you work in. Like you truly get it. You understand it more than me, right? And so understanding these business processes, leveling up your meta skills, your soft skills, these are how you become more valuable. And part number two. And I don't know how else to say it. Like I want to get up on the rooftops and shout, people are hurting, especially financially in today's day and age. It feels like, especially in the United States and I'm sure everywhere in the world. And it's like, how do I stop feeling this way or feeling like life is so difficult? Well, let's level up. I will become more valuable with you. And I'm here and ready to do that. So point number two, cross it off the list. Done. Write in your notes. I'm going to move on because I don't want it to sound like I'm attacking you, because that is not it at all. You are valuable as a person. That's like one of the first things I said. Nonetheless, point number three was how to find purpose and really love what you do. This is something that I don't want to say I'm struggling with, because I love what I do. But this is something that I find myself thinking a lot about, because I don't know, I'm a young professional, and maybe every young person just thinks about like, oh, let me just grind and who cares what I'm doing? I just want to, stack some bread, make some money. But I don't know, I've been thinking a lot more about like, what is it that I want my life to actually look like and how to find purpose and different things. And I'm confident that you can find that in the Power Platform and low code consulting. Specifically, in that something that's also really cool about this industry is, to an extent, you can let your personality really shine through, which I think is really cool. I think there are certain jobs and industries where you have to act like a certain person that you're not, or, you know, maybe dress a certain way that you absolutely despise, or use certain language that just really isn't you and doesn't feel very authentic. Something that I think is really cool about the industry that I work in, and I think this is a pretty common sentiment, is it's pretty like fair that people, are able to be themselves. Obviously, to an extent, you can't just start talking crazy talk, right? But I, I had one of my early conversations. Again, another nugget that really stuck with me was with a gentleman called Chris Huntingford. He's in the Microsoft Power Platform, Microsoft Dynamics space, absolute rock star. And this guy, he's like tatted out, kind of swears like a sailor, but he wore this like rainbow unicorn shirt on our call, and he wears stuff like that all the time on important client calls and all this stuff. And he's a really successful guy and is crushing it. And he said something that was really insightful in that he's able to be himself, and maybe swear or wear these goofy shirts because he's good, at what he does. He's not good because he's himself, or because he's goofy, or because he wears shirts. And I'll say that again in case I didn't deliver it very well, in that he's able to be himself. He's able to be goofy. He's able to do all those things because he's good. And businesses recognize that he's good. And so they're like, man, you're good at what you do? Dude, that is so valuable to me. The fact that you're not wearing a collared shirt and tie right now, couldn't care less, right? Because you already provide so much value to us currently with your skills or whatever that is. And so I'm goofy because I'm good. I'm not good because I'm goofy. And I thought that was just a good distinction to have. But something that I just let you know, like, there's a space for you. I also just think the community, kind of part B of point 3, the community within this industry, within this space, is incredible. It's unmatched in like every other way. And I think it's just super special. And nobody is out to get you. Everybody is trying to level up and grow and be your friend and be your mentor or your learning buddy and help you along the way. Nobody has ever made me feel dumb or silly for asking a question, or below them to ask for their time or anything like that. And I think that's something that's super, super cool. And it helps me love what I do and find a little bit more purpose in what I do, because there are so many people in my life in general, but even more specifically with just, in the last 2.5 years, that have positively impacted me in an insane way. Guests on this show, guests not on this show, that have impacted me in such a way where I can't help but feel like I need to, even if it's for, this video gets 4 views, even if it's just for 4 people, to be positively impacted, I can't help but feel like that what I'm doing is really important, just to share like the things that I'm learning, and I guess document it on a video on YouTube. And that's kind of why even I create, and a lot of other people, Microsoft MVPs and things, create and share what they're learning, is just because they genuinely love what they do and just want to help other people also love what they do and find purpose. I also got to say, in just this topic of purpose, I talked to a really cool guest as well. I don't know if I should name drop him, but a guest on this show. And he had built apps that were helping, certain marginalized people in a government like aspect. Like, he was building apps for the government that were helping, less fortunate groups of people and all these things. And like, how life-giving that was for him, and just his ability to impact these people. Even like his mom ended up using this app that he had built, and it made, maybe in a very small way, but made her life just a little bit easier, a little bit better. And it was a super cool experience for him. And He was just so like overjoyed about sharing that on the show. And so I just think it's cool. You have the ability to find your purpose, your passion, and love what you do and be yourself in this space. And that's how you can start a tech career. To summarize it right there. And I recognize that I haven't told you how to how to retire in 2 years and how to make $1 million, but I don't know, I just want to encourage you and let you know that you can do it. If you're still listening to this, like I say this pretty much at the end of every episode, you are a real one. I want you to let me know if this positively impacted you and was maybe the first time you've thought about getting into tech and you're still here. I would love to know. And if you don't necessarily want to comment and expose yourself, that's totally okay. Email me, or at least send me a connection on LinkedIn. I have a link to my LinkedIn down in the description down below in every video. Send a connection there. I pretty much connect with every single person, so I will absolutely connect with you. And I would love to, even if it's just in the DMs, to let you know, and for you to let me know just that you found this impactful, because that's why I do this, is for those sort of conversations and those sort of people. So that is that. At the end of every episode, we have our after hours happy hour segment of the show. Today, I'm working on a little bit of a fun passion project. I am not a videographer at all. Really, the only video that I do are things like these. And my camera, this camera is relatively new. I record on my phone for over a year. 99% of the videos on this channel are on my phone, but I got a camera recently. And it pretty much just sits right here on its mount on the desk. And so I'm not a videographer, but I have a friend who's wanting to put on a gym event, and I'll get into that in a second. But he asked me, he's like, hey, can you shoot some promo videos for it? Whatever. Some cool, cinematic, promo videos for like Instagram Reels and TikTok and whatever. And I was like, I'm not a videographer, but like, let's do it. It'll be fun. And so I've just finished up kind of recording and editing those. It's actually for, I don't talk about it much. I think, especially in a workplace, there's a nice time and a place for it. But I've talked about it, at other after hour happy hours segments of this show. But I'm a Christian. In this event here, I live in the Fargo-Moorhead area in North Dakota, and we're putting on a gym cross with Bible study event at a local gym here. And so we're shooting like a promo video for the Bibles and Barbells event. So pretty stoked about that. Kind of just a fun little passion project. That's kind of what I was doing today, was editing up those reels and stuff. And it's just fun. I journal sometimes as well, and just like writing in my journal about how much I enjoy it. And I don't know, I think it would be cool. I've never once been into video before, but over the last kind of year, 2 years, just been learning a lot about cameras, videography, cinematography, YouTube, all sorts of stuff. And I just think it's a really cool skill and hobby and passion. I don't know if I'd ever want to, make it my job. I love what I do in tech. But it's cool. And I feel like once I started making money from it, then it's no longer going to feel like a hobby, and then the hobby gets taken away from me. So maybe I'll keep it my hobby. But that's what's going on with me a little bit in my life right now. So if you're still here, then you probably forgot to click off of this video about 20 some minutes ago. No, I'm totally kidding. But seriously, thank you so much for being here. It absolutely means a lot. Based off the analytics, there's not a ton of you. I'm talking to a small handful, and I just want you to know that like it really does mean a lot that you are here, and just know that I'm so thankful for you, and in every way, and I hope the best for your future, for your career, your tech career that's either growing or starting, and just that I potentially was able to positively impact you in any sort of way. So Thank you so much for being here. My name is Griffin Lickfeld, the host of the Citizen Developer Channel and Power Talk series. I love what I do. I'm happy and thankful that you're here, and I'm excited to connect with you in the next one.